Peace, peace, peace. What's good? What's good? I was sharing something a little bit yesterday about getting real with ourselves and realizing that every time we're trying to point the finger at someone else, we're actually pointing three fingers back at us. And I was just thinking a little bit right now about how we may or may not, but for the most part, we're looking out for red flags in others. And I know that maybe not always you may pay attention to the red flags that you see others throw out, which hopefully you do and you don't ignore them, or those yellow flags. There's also yellow flags that come out before the red flags. And most times those are the ones that are easier to just push under the rug. But at the same time, do you stop to take a moment to realize when you are throwing out a red flag yourself, when you do things or act in certain ways or react in ways that is a red flag or a yellow flag? Because just like, I'm thinking of it in soccer because I'm playing soccer again. And before you're getting a red flag, depending on if it's a really big, like if you shove someone really ugly or you do something that's just like purposeful, you get a red flag. But most times when you do small little things here and there that are not like, we can discern to know that I shouldn't have done that. When you do those things, you get yellow flags. And the more yellow flags you do, then you get the red flag. And I feel like it's so important for us to pay attention to those red flags and yellow flags within ourselves. Because we're obviously not perfect. We're obviously all relearning, remembering who we are, what we shouldn't have done, what we could have done better. Or not even to say it in that way. I don't like to say it in the sense where shoulda, coulda, woulda. Could've is still a better word than should've. But at the same time, I truly understand and I understand, I overstand that everything plays out as it's meant to. So those yellow flags are playing out for a reason. The red flags, they play out for a reason. They all are running their course because there's things that we can learn from through those. And the more that we self-reflect and we acknowledge when we have made a play or made a move or acted or reacted in a way that was a yellow flag, where it's like, I shouldn't have done that. Or I could have made a different choice that was more aligned with love, more aligned with peace, more aligned with harmony. Because again, when we're just constantly looking out onto others, trying to find a red flag, trying to find a yellow flag, just judging judging others based on their yellow flags and their red flags, and we haven't taken a moment to look into the mirror and realize like, oh man, yeah, there's a lot of red flags I've done. There's a lot of yellow flags I've made. And think that everyone else has to change outside of us, or everyone else has to do something differently outside of us, and then maybe we'll play a certain way or act a certain way or go about different things a certain way. But in reality, it's us who has the control always. If someone's continuing to do these red flags or yellow flags, these things that are not of a high vibration, or not of a vibration that is resonating with yours, with what you are wanting to be in your life, not just attract, but to be, because we attract who we are. When we realize that nothing has anything to do with others. I was saying something about that. I know I was. Just basically like seeing all these red flags within other people, and not taking a moment to see it within yourself. And thinking that everybody outside of you has to make these changes for you to make a change. But it's so interesting. It's hot. It's so interesting how once you begin to be honest with yourself, do the self-reflection, and make these choices that are more out of peace, that are more out of self-love, that are more out of self-worth, that are more out of harmony, and with harm to no one or nothing ever. With harm to no one or nothing ever, with no harm to yourself. Because when we are not harming ourselves, we're not harming others. When we're harming others, we're harming ourselves even more. Because everything is intertwined and everything is connected. And it really goes back to the video that I was talking about yesterday, how things really don't have much to do with anyone outside of us. They're just here as characters along our path, along our journey, along this life experience as humans, that are helping us see these red flags within us, that are helping us see these yellow flags within us, so that we can make those improvements, or so that we can acknowledge them to see what it is that we can do differently for us. Because when we do for us, we're doing for others. I'm always being reminded of how it is when you get onto a plane, the flight attendant is showing you and telling you and reminding you to not to not go helping anyone else before you've helped yourself and put your oxygen mask on. First, put your oxygen mask on. That way you can afterwards go and help others. If you don't have your oxygen mask on, you can probably only help maybe, I don't know, I'm just giving a wild guess. You can maybe only help 2, 3, 4 other people. But if you have your oxygen mask, you have the opportunity to help the whole plane. Because now you're not running out of the oxygen that you need. And that's something that, honestly, it's something that with me reminding myself of these examples, it really shifted something within me. Because for one, I've always loved to give, and I've always loved to help, and I've always loved to be there for others as much as I possibly can. And I had to realize that, yes, I can do that, so long as I'm good first, so long as I am in a place of being able to give fully, being able to do fully for others, as opposed to me just, I want to say half butting it. I don't know, with all this censorship. I don't know if I can say words, but instead of me half butting it, because I only at the moment have so much to give, whether it's emotionally, whether it's physically, whether it's financially, or whatever it is, as opposed to just half butting it. When I give to myself and I'm feeling good and I'm in a place of overflow because my cup is full, I'm able to give so much more to others without needing to also limit anything, with no limitations, because whatever's pouring out of me is just extra now. It's kind of like one sick person can't take care of another sick person, but a healthy person can. Someone who's healthy knows how to help a sick person. So you can't be sick and wanting to help someone else who's also sick. You have to heal yourself first. And maybe it's not so much of like you have to be healed first or you have to be fully healthy first, but someone who's slightly healthier than someone else can still help someone else who's slightly less healthy or slightly more sick. And it kind of also reminds me of like, it's not like you have to be fully healed to be able to do X, Y, and Z. But if you realize that you have a wound and you're tending to it, then you're already a million steps ahead, as opposed to having a wound and just ignoring it and wanting to help someone else with their wound, but you're over here getting infected. You know what I mean? 1114, 1114. And really, a lot of it is us being real with ourselves, being honest with ourselves. Where do I have these yellow flags within me, and when did they start? Where did these red flags begin within me, and how do I get to the root of pulling it out? And not in a harsh way. I'm not ever saying or ever meaning for you to look at yourself and be mean and be rude to yourself and be ugly and be unkind and ungentle. That's the last thing I'll ever tell you to do. But if you can look at yourself and sit with yourself with gentleness and with forgiveness and with patience and with love and nurturingness, and that's how you're able to really get down to the root of things and pull them out with calm and with ease, as opposed to just being frustrated with yourself and pulling it up at the top of the soil and at the top of where the soil meets air, and realizing later that you didn't get down to the root because you weren't patient enough with yourself to give yourself that love, to give yourself that kindness and that gentleness to do what you need to do to dig into that soil and find that root that's causing you sadness or harm or discomfort or uneasiness or disharmony, whatever's taking from your peace and your self-love within you. Because all these yellow flags and red flags is basically what it is. Most times it's us throwing up our guard or putting up a shield because we're thinking that we have to do this to not get hurt. 1322. Or it's, I know for me, I mean, I can only speak for me. Whatever is coming to my mind is just, every time I've thrown out yellow flags or red flags, it's from a trauma. It's from a defense mechanism, a defensive response, or a defensive reaction that I had or have created to protect and shield my heart from getting hurt, for protecting and shielding myself, thinking that I have to do that in order to protect my feelings or protect my emotions or protect whatever it is. I know at some point in my life I would do that, thinking that I had to do that so that the ego wouldn't get hurt, or so that pride wouldn't be hurt too. Just all these different things it's not coming from a place of love. It really isn't. The ego, the pride, the whatever, all these other different emotions that tie along with ego and pride, and I don't know, resentment, grief, all those emotions. I'm also just here to remind you that it's time for the soft era to really unleash and really take full effect. For us to be kind and gentle and soft with ourselves. Be soft with yourself when you see a red flag. Be soft with yourself when you see a yellow flag. And give yourself the time and space that you need to find out, where did that come from? When did I start throwing these yellow flags? When did I allow myself to react as a red flag? Because all of that holds so much information about us. It holds so much information about us, and you'll even be surprised at everything that comes up as you're digging into the soil, looking, searching for those roots. You'll realize, like, whoa, okay. I don't even know why it's hidden emotion. You'll go seeing things that you had hid from yourself for a long time, and a lot of things will start to connect where it's like, wow, okay, I get why I started to do that, why I began doing that, why I felt like I needed to do that. And you'll realize too that you never had to start doing that. You never had to start shielding yourself so much from the world. Because there's nothing that softness and gentleness and genuine love and peace can heal within you. But we're meant to give that energy to ourselves. It's really, man, for so long it's not that like it's time for us now. We were always meant to love ourselves. We came to this life to love ourselves and to love others. The more we love ourselves, the more we love others, and it's just a full circle. Not to think that we had to protect ourselves from others so that they can't see our full depths, so that they have less to be able to hurt us with. I know for a long time that's how I felt. And still to this day, I'm still cracking open my shell so that more people can get to know who I really am, because I've hid so much of me. So much of my life story, so much of my experiences, and I did that thinking that because when I would crack open my shell, people would just throw it in my face or use it against me as a weakness, or to hurt me where they knew that I was fragile in that area. But I really realize now that I don't have to keep putting up these shields, because there are brothers out there who do genuinely love, who do genuinely care, who do have this beautiful softness and gentleness to them, this purity, this pure essence of love, that aren't just out to hurt you, or aren't just out trying to listen to what you have to say so that later they can bring it up and hurt you as much as possible with it. I'm learning to trust. Also, I'm learning to trust myself so that I can feel who it is that I should share, what to share, when to share, and how much of it, or what to not say at all. And not just think that I have to be that way with the whole world. It's not fair for us to point blame at one person or one thing on the whole world. This one person or this one thing was here to show you something about yourself. That's it. Not to make us angry with the world, not to make us, what is it called when you just get bitter? Not to make us bitter, not to make us mean, not to make us cold or cold-hearted, or none of that. It's all just been serving a purpose for you to remember who you are. And a lot of us remembering who we are is getting real with ourselves in a gentle way, in a peaceful way, calm, patient way, and in a loving way. This is my message to you. This is my message to myself. As always, I receive it too. 2022. Peace.